Hi, my name's Angela Casey and welcome to Edinburgh Outdoors, the podcast that explores Edinburgh's green spaces and the people in them. And today I am in an extraordinary place. I'm at the Lost Shore Surf Resort in Ratho, just outside the city, which is a brand new, incredible space. It's the middle of January, it's freezing out here, and yet there are people in there in their wetsuits surfing. And it's just amazing. There's this enormous wave machine and the waves are crashing on what they call a beach at the other end of the pool, and it's very, very cool. The place is also a brilliant place to come and visit. There's a cafe, restaurant, there's a very lovely surf shop, there's a sauna which looks amazing too. There are luxury pods and lodges that you can stay in, wellness treatments. There's a lot here. It's all still in development, but you can see that it's fast becoming an incredible destination resort. And I'm meeting with Andy Hadden, who is the brain behind this whole fantastic project. And we're going to walk around and have a look at it. I'm not going in the water, though I have to say it does look amazing and I would really love to do it. And we're going to find out more about how the resort was developed, about some of the brilliant work they're doing on health and well-being, and really just find out what there is here for anyone who feels like a visit. We're standing by the water now, and I just want to say welcome to Edinburgh Outdoors, Andy Hadden, while the waves are crashing beside us.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
This is an amazing place. It's fantastic. I'm getting an adrenaline rush, and I'm not even in the water.
Yeah, you just even just standing here beside the waves and feeling that energy running through the water is a real sight to behold, and people just come here and get fixated on it, whether they surf or don't. For such a vast piece of technology, to really just be able to hear the sound of the waves just like you're on a beach is part of the magic sauce, and why this is such a great place to hang about.
That guy's great. He's really
good surfer. Should we walk off to the takeoff zone? You can see actually more what it looks like.
That would be great. I saw that there's a schedule of waves. What do the different schedules of the waves mean?
Yeah, so at the minute we've got 4 commercial settings. We can actually run in excess of 25 different types of wave, and it's ever evolving because the software it just depends on how powerfully you move the paddles that make the waves. But we've got 4 commercial settings from it starts at a cruiser session, which is perfect for people that have learned to stand up and are just wanting to get that thrill of riding along a wave. And that's something that took me 3 or so years in the ocean faffing around. It's taken my 8-year-old daughter 3 sessions. She thinks I'm very uncoordinated or something when I tell her. She's like, "Daddy, how did it take you that long?" I said, "Holly, you don't understand how lucky you are. These are the world's best waves in the most consistent conditions, and it's made it so accessible and made one of the hardest sports in the world to learn a much easier thing." So we have a cruiser session, and then we have a turn session, which is a level up, which is just great fun for all levels of surfers, slightly bigger waves. Then we have a manoeuvre session, which really is quite large critical waves, overhead waves that you have to be a good surfer to go on. And then we have a barrel session, which is really heavy, powerful waves, some of the best waves in Europe. But as you can see in front of us, that's the 4 sessions for surfers. At the same time, of all these sessions, you have beginners at the front, just like you would do in the ocean, in very safe, shallow conditions. And as you'll see in a minute, they just start practicing to learn to stand up. There's no rip currents, there's no sharks and jellyfish to worry about, sand in your toes, and the instructor's out there waist high, and everyone has a blast. They all get knackered by the end, and more often than not, by the end of this session, you're standing up.
So this is some people here doing some training now.
Yeah, that's right. These are obviously maybe just first-time beginners that are in the water, and maybe never surfed before, or maybe once or twice they've surfed before. He's about to have a go. Let's see it's his first wave, probably. Come on, up you get. He's up.
Woo! He must have done it before.
Who knows?
Or maybe he's a windsurfer.
Possibly, but it's so user-friendly that, my 70-year-old father on a surfboard for the first time about 4 weeks ago, and already he's got bets on with his buddies at the gym who's going to be first to stand up, and it took him 2 sessions, and he's coming back from one. And part of the thing is, and that's why surfing's for everyone, is of course it's a high adrenaline sport at the top level with the big waves, but it's highly addictive. You get an amazing feeling once you learn how to glide on a wave, but it's just the immersion in that water. It's being outdoors, doing something that you think you can't do, and then doing it, and people come out, and I guarantee you, if you walk up to these people after their session, I don't know who they are, and you ask them how it was, and they'll be absolutely buzzing.
I can imagine the adrenaline. So basically what happens is that the waves stop for a bit and then they start up again, is that right?
Yeah, it's called running sets. A bit like in the ocean, waves come in sets, energy pulses, and we set it so it's not waves running just all the time. It gives people a little bit of a chance, a bit of respite, and then we run a big sea. Look at that, just like the ocean. You've got a really good surfer out the back there, and at the same time you've got a beginner surfer trying his best to get up on the board at the front. It's dreamland for surfing. This is like when I heard this idea that these type of waves were being created 12 years ago, I didn't believe it, and that's why I flew out to the Basque Country in Spain to a secret test facility, and I thought, this can't be real surfing. And what I saw that day, and the engineers, who are all engineers and surfers, and they're now a global business, and I went, wow, this is going to change the sport of surfing forever, because this is 100 years in the future if you're a surfer, and suddenly it's here, and it's just nirvana, it's unbelievable.
I know you're Europe's largest, but how many pools like this are there?
There in the world, we were the 8th to open. We're the 2nd in the UK behind Bristol. Bristol has, for context, 40 modules, 40 motors, and we have 52. And what that makes, Bristol's a fantastic experience. Like, I go there a lot with my family, but this really does make us the biggest and best waves in the whole of Europe, and long may that continue.
So people can just come down and have a look.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's one thing we're looking to encourage, is that we've got a month of wellness this month, which has yoga sessions. We had a 5K run, we did the Looney Duke. We're listening to our customers and just seeing what fun stuff we can do. We've got workshops, and importantly, we've got amazing food offering, amazing wellness offering, massages to treatments, and there's surf shops like super cool, and you can get the apparel and the branded stuff, and you can buy boards and try them here and try your wetsuit before you buy it. It's a really all-encompassing experience for anyone.
So you don't have to be a surfer?
Not at all, and this is one thing that we're really working on, because the surf community here is vast, but surfing is a mindset. Your level of surfing doesn't have to be high, but if you get in the water, you embrace it on any craft, longboard, bodyboard, hand plane, shortboard, whatever you want to do. You go in there, have a good time, enjoy that feeling of the waves pushing you to the shore, stand up or not, then for us you're a surfer, and that means it's extremely accessible. In fact, our first ambassador, 12-year-old girl, Jade from Aberdeen, she's quadriplegic, and she represents the UK at the para champs around the world. She took up surfing when she was 9, and doesn't have the benefit of having arms and legs, yet she's got an adaptable surfboard, and she goes out to California, represents Scotland. Surfing's completely changed her life. So we've had 70-year-olds in, like I was telling you before. We've had loads of people that thought surfing can't be for me, and they got in, they realise it is, and they're coming back. And then, of course, you have the surf community who just are like, this is the healthiest drug addiction you can possibly have in your life.
It does seem to be. And kids can do it too?
Yeah, of course. Like my 6-year-old and 8-year-olds were in, and they're already standing up, no problem at all. Been in with their friends. Of course, you're saying, oh, but the friends' parents, oh, but it's winter time and all this. I said, you just wait. Get them in the wetsuits, get them doing some star jumps, get them in the water, and of course they're all completely hooked now. All they want to do is surf, skate and surf now. So we're into all the schools. We're working with schools actually on STEM. We've got modules set to be in the school curriculum. So it's not just a day out, it's actually part of their learning experience. Whether you're learning physics, a bit about business, some engineering, some water dynamics, and so kids from sort of 9 to 13 years old, we have all the tools to not just educate them, but give them a good time.
So how many people are you employing here?
We employ around about 125 people, and it's a seasonal business, so this will go up and down as per the seasons, but we're really proud. A lot of us came from around here, and a lot of the businesses that help me from around here is our economic impact. We're getting a new one done at the minute. It looks like up to 20 million into the local economy every year. A lot of that is employment, so all the existing amazing surf businesses around the coast can hopefully grow, employ more people. Surfing becomes more of a thing, and we can really harness what Scotland already has on its coast. We all know that the economy needs a bit of a boost at the moment, and we're trying to do our bit.
I mean, I'm sorry, but we're standing here in midweek January, although this will go out a bit later. It's January. And there's about 8 people in here surfing.
And look, the chap there went in with his hood on, and what's he done?
He's taken it off. So you supply the wetsuits, is that right, when people come?
Yeah, that's right.
And you said that they were super warm ones.
Yeah, we worked with Napier University over the course of a year to make sure that we had the world's warmest rental fleet of wetsuits. It was very important to us because we had offers from suppliers, Rip Curls, Billabongs, to do our wetsuit. And we said, we're in Scotland, we don't need the best deal, we need the warmest. And they embraced the challenge. And now we're proud to say we've got the world's warmest fleet of wetsuits.
I think you need them.
The experience you're having now is just the experience I had 20 years ago when I picked up surfing and got out there into the ocean. There's just something absolutely mesmerising about being around all that water and that energy. And to be able to do such a fun skill and fun sport and have a business around that, it's like such a joy for me and for all the staff. And we're in here all the time whenever we get the chance.
God, you really do have the dream job, don't you?
I think that's it. You know, we're the world's first pension-backed wave park, and so what that basically means is they deemed us to be a very low-risk opportunity. So not only have we done a surf park in Scotland, which kind of sounded crazy, we've de-risked it to the point where the pension funds have gotten involved in us, and really the reason we were able to do that is when I started, I didn't have any money or any land. I was bribing people with smoked salmon and cider to do pictures and so on, but we had the commodity of time. So if we were just handed this, of course we might have made rushed errors, but because myself and so many of the staff here that have been on the journey with me, of course all we do is sit up at night going, what would it be like? What food should we get? What would be better if our family was going here? What would be the best thing to do? Because we've had so much time to think about all this stuff, that's why in our DNA is a genuine, intentional push towards surf therapy, schools, universities. These are often afterthoughts for business, but we've really built them into our DNA, and yeah, it is the dream job. And how do we effectively get people more healthy, get them into the outdoors and help their own physical and mental health journeys? And by doing that consciously, then the business side of things takes care of itself. You know, you've got these joyous surf ops guys around you. There's no jellyfish, there's no sharks, there's no rip curls, you know, and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, it's really just cold water immersion with a bizarre feeling of feeling warm and a fantastic experience.
So obviously it goes down to a beach that end. How deep is it here where these guys are?
It gets 3.2 metres deep at its deepest point.
Right.
And the way the waves actually work is you've got 52 modules, 52 paddles under this engine room at the minute. And all those paddles do is push this way and that way, and they run like a snake in sequence. They push water against these retaining walls, you don't see it. And then as the water goes towards shore, we've done the bathymetry, the bottom of the lagoon, just like you would the ocean. So it's deeper in the middle channel where you don't see waves breaking, and we grade it slightly shallower and shallower. And that's why we have control over the perfection of these waves that you're watching now.
That guy should be freezing, I'm sorry. He should be freezing. He doesn't look it.
Are you cold? Are you cold?
Yeah. My hands are so hot.
Yeah.
I need to have my head.
Yeah. It's unreal, eh?
Yeah.
Brilliant. You're doing well, mate.
I mean, in terms of safety as well, have you got lifeguards?
We always have in the control tower up there. There's always a lifeguard there, a lifeguard in the central spine, 2 here, and our surf coaches are instructed lifeguards. And what you won't be hearing now, but they're on walkie-talkies, and they're always talking to each other. Is this surf, how's the surfer looking? Have you got anyone that's, feeling out their depth or anything like that? And the general flow of it is that there's no problems. Just like any resort and adrenaline sport, there will inevitably, with the hundreds of thousands of people that come through the doors, there will inevitably be the odd bump and bruise here and there. But because we've got such a good team of lifeguards and it's such a controlled environment, they're incredibly safe places to learn. Far safer than the ocean environment.
Look at that. Isn't it beautiful when the sun's on the water?
Yeah, it's just fantastic. We've had some great visions. When it was snowing the other week, it was brilliant because there was all the snow around here, and then the surfers, it just looked so cool.
So you've got the two...
Yeah, so it's the same waves on either side. They're slightly staggered because of the way the machine works. So every 4 seconds there's a wave, but it's only 8 seconds on each side. So the 4 seconds, 4 seconds, 4 seconds. So there's 8 seconds between each wave, and then, like say, they'll turn the sets off after a wee bit, and give people a little bit of respite. But you see the actual float that surf, they just get off a wave and paddle back and go again and again and again. Surfing is a sport of falling off.
Yeah.
So even the best surfers in the world, they just fall off at the end of a wave. Their level's a bit higher. So one of the things, the feeling that you get from riding along a wave, not just the white water, that's a great feeling, but that first feeling when you glide along the wave, it's perfectly calm. And it's the most addictive feeling in the world, and that's why there's 45 million surfers in the world, and all we do every day is check the ocean conditions every single day. And it's because all you want to do is go and get that feeling again and again, and it never stops. And it's never ending.
I can see why it's addictive. So we went in the cart and went up to look at the lodges around the top, and you've got lodges down here. So how many have you got?
We have 31 luxury lodges, then we have 22 pods. So the pods are generally for 1 to 4 people, although you can fit 6 in the larger ones. And the lodges are, think of your Creef Hydros, your Centre Parks. They're for 4 to 8 people. It can be 1 big family, 2 families sharing, and all the rest of it. So the key for us, Angela, was to be a resort. So it's got accommodation, it's got amazing retail, it's got wonderful food. We've got Chivarino's pizzas, 5 March Mexican, and we've also got wellness. So we've got massages, treatments, things like that. We've got Surf Skate Academy, which kids and adults are just going crazy for, which is learning how to surf on a skateboard. So we've got an event studio through there as well. And right beside us is Europe's largest indoor climbing arena with soft play and other ancillary activities, clip and climb and so on. So for me, it's a perfect place to book with a family and staycation and come and enjoy. We're getting people from like Paris, Norway, Sweden, France, Spain, Americans coming here for the golf. They also surf, and we're right by the airport. So the demographics we're covering are vast, and it's really interesting to see the flow of people who actually visit here. Whether it's just local people coming down for a coffee and a bite to eat, whether it's surfers flying in to golf and surf, or whether it's our local surf community and school kids just coming in for a good time. And then you get elderly, you get people that want to come and explore the shop and do workshops and do yoga.
So if somebody wants to come and do yoga and things like that, they just book, do they?
Yeah, they would just book in. We're doing a month of wellness at the minute, and I think we're going to integrate more yoga into it, and more, because there's a consistency between surfing and yoga, like there is between sports climbing and there is between surf skating. So we'll do more of that. That's why Visit Scotland and the Scottish Tourism Alliance, Event Scotland and Sports Scotland at the very top levels. When they first heard about us, like, everyone was naturally going to be sceptical, but the way they've embraced us, and they're now seeing us as the most sort of revolutionary lifestyle and tourism venture to come to Scotland in a long time, if not ever. And so they're working very closely with us, and long may that continue, because the more people that come to Scotland and can see our wonderful country and explore, the better it is for our economy, and the more the businesses can do well here, and the more people's lives will affect, because we know that we can give them all such a good time.
Well, you've done an amazing thing. I'm blown away by it. It's incredible. Do you think there'll be competitions run here? Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, I mean, running surf events by nature globally is a really tricky thing to do because Mother Nature goes to sleep. And what this has brought is an element of consistency, which means that the World Surf League have been here recently. We had a gathering of the Clans Scottish Community Surf event recently that ran. Usually it takes 3 days and it's all over the place because by nature you can't control the conditions. And we ran within 2 minutes on a whole day. Everyone had a great time. So absolutely, we're going to be running more and more competitions.
Are you doing any work with voluntary and community organisations?
Yeah, well, we're tying especially and closely with the likes of, Inclusive Scotland and the Wave Project in terms of the charitable aspect. Now, what the Wave Project is a fantastic charity that's run on the coast around the UK that brings, let's say, some disadvantaged kids into surfing. And they've already been down here multiple times. And we're also going to be working closely, setting up our own charity called the Blue Light Charity, which is one of the gaps in the global surf therapy movement, certainly here in the UK, is how to get the blue light sort of veterans into the joy of surfing. So we're going to be tapping into paramedics, police, all these people to raise money for them so they can come down. And it's extraordinary, especially in America, this has happened a lot with a lot of army veterans. It's extraordinary how many of them have had to find surfing, and when they found it, it's helped them to recover mentally from so much of the trauma that they go through. So they're two of the organisations we're working closely with. And on top of that, from a community benefit, you'll see that we're so much more than surfing. We've got ideas with the local Ratho Community Council that we've been talking about for years, to come down and explore our site, explore the vegetation, potentially have small growing areas, and just work with the biodiversity and the habitat that we have. So yeah, it's a big push for us, and that's the type of thing that inspires us as local people. It's not just the commercial business. That's like any other thing. You have to make a profit. What actually gets you out of bed is watching how you can really make a difference, and seeing that unfold has been amazing to watch. So we're really proud of Dr. Jamie Marshall now, because he's the first global doctor in surf therapy. I came across Jamie when I was volunteering for the Wave Project in Dunbar, and honestly I was doing that because I wanted to surf. Honestly I did, of course I wanted to do something good, but surf, I thought, let's go down here. But straight away when I realised the difference it made to the kids, it was like, wow, what's going on? And there was a young Jamie Marshall who was organising all this, and I thought, who is this kid at the time? And he came to me and he said, Andy, I think this needs to be studied because everyone talks about how good it is for you. We all know that, surfers all know that. And so we backed him with Napier University through a PhD, did his 4 years, and to his testament, not with our help, he's managed to become the youngest board member of the International Surf Therapy Organisation, and he's now dragging us around the world where surf therapy has really become a global movement, and he's talking scientifically to all these people. He's going to West Africa, he's going to the US, he's going to all these places, and they just can't believe that here in Scotland we're taking this so seriously. And that's why we've always said, Angela, that whilst our level of surfing is not going to be, at least for some time, the best in the world, there's nothing stopping us being the brain of the cold water surfing movement, and I think we're by far and away on track to doing that. It's an incredibly healing experience because, Jamie will laugh if he heard me try and describe it properly, but for me, there's something, and I witnessed this when I was a volunteer at the Wave Project all those years ago, where I came across Jamie, that you would have some kids with you there, and they'd be quite rowdy in the car park and so on. And you'd walk down to the water and you thought, oh, here we go, full of cheek. And you get into the water and they can't help but they're in this element between danger and excitement, and suddenly they fixate on the next wave, and they come every 8 seconds and they can't think about anything else for an hour, and they come out and it's like their brains have had a jet wash. They're just clean, and they're walking back to the car park and they're smiling and they're happy, and it's the best thing they do all week. And that's what kind of happens to everyone. You've got this wonderful activity that just focuses your brain and clears it of everything that's happened with you that week, and when you come out you just feel cleansed and ready to go.
So I'm Dr. Jamie Marshall. I'm a research fellow at Edinburgh University, and I'm also the head of the social and health innovation lead here at Lost Shore Surf Resort. It's my job to really drive innovation around, so the science is very settled that getting outdoors and getting active is really good for your mental health, but being intentional about how we enable and support these opportunities for physical activity to improve mental and physical health is really important. And that's also, we're working with amazing organisations like the WAVE Project. The WAVE Project works with young people who are facing mental health challenges, so they've maybe got diagnoses or they're referred by professionals. But also actually working with our general visitors to learn about how they can better maintain their mental health. So it's not just like the treatment angle, as it were, the sort of therapeutic angle, but also the prevention angle is so important. Something we're talking about today, we're running a wellbeing surf session today, and one of the big things we talk about is the importance of making time for activities that are fun, that are engaging, that get you outside, because you never find it. You need to make time for these things. I mean, that's one of the lessons we're talking about today. We have a knowledge session. So in the morning session, we've been exploring emotional regulation and looking at how we can use breath work to control that. And what we then do is when we go in the water, lots of great fun, learning to surf, but at the same time, actually, it's a chance to practice. So those breathing exercises, when you take a little wipe out and your head goes underwater, naturally your heart rate's going to spike, you're breathing, you might feel a bit flustered or something. Perfect opportunity to then try those things we've explored in the theoretical session out in the water. So something we've learned from research in the surf therapy world is that surfing is such an amazing dynamic learning environment. It's an analogy that's used a lot in surf therapy is, we can't necessarily control the waves. They're going to come, they're going to be different sizes, but we can learn how to ride them. That's very much what we're doing with these intentional sessions is we're learning tips and techniques that can help us manage those everyday stresses that we all face in day-to-day life. It doesn't have to be something massive, a difficult presentation at work. It's going to have that impact on us if we know these emotional regulation techniques that we've practiced in the wave pool, for example. It becomes much easier to then implement those in that setting and feel more regulated and more confident in delivering that presentation, for example. Actually finding a physical activity that's fun and that engages you means you're going to keep doing it. You're going to stick with it for a long period of time, and then you're really going to feel those mental and physical health benefits.
That was brilliant. Nice to meet you.
Cheers,
Thank
Jamie.
you.
I used to work as a surveyor. I worked in receivership in insolvency, and I actually learned in the early years of my career sort of all the how not tos in terms of running a business, because I was having to do some quite grim work for closing on businesses. It was not very enriching for the soul, I have to say, but it was a great learning experience. And then when I came to work in property investment, I realised there was a weight of money out there if you could tap into it that wanted to look at experiential things in the future. And we've had overwhelming support actually from so many people just off their own bat.
So, some quick fire questions for all interviewees. What does the outdoors mean to you?
Headspace, adventure and freedom.
And has there been a time in your life when the outdoors has really helped you, made a difference?
Yeah, I think loads of my cherished memories as a child were having family gatherings up in Glen Shee, up in Glencoe, and climbing the hills. That's very special memories for me. But of course, it's not easy to raise 64 million quid through COVID, etc. And the one thing that's kept me going is going into the ocean, surfing, and it revitalises you. And I think a lot of the people that have helped me do this have used surfing the same, and that means that all the business that we've had to do has felt that much easier because we've been in the water and using surfing as that tool.
Actually, you've made me think of another really good question, which is, obviously you've raised 64 million, you're incredibly busy, you're running this brilliant place which is getting developed, but do you ever get time to go in there and surf yourself?
I made a deal to myself that I was going to force myself to do it, because it's always easy when you've got hobbies like this to, if things get busy in the rest of your life, to make excuses. But no, I've been surfing at least every couple of days. My level's got a lot better, and I'm really glad for it. And it means that all the teething issues and everything else that young businesses go through, they're all no problem, because I'm getting to go in and surf and figure them all out.
I like the metaphor, or the thing that you said about surfing is basically a sport of falling off. I quite like that.
Yeah, that's what life is.
And I always ask this, and most people say where they are at the time, I should tell you. Where's your favourite place in or around Edinburgh?
Outdoors, I like going up the Pentlands. I go camping with my youngest daughter. She's 8 now in the Pentlands, and we bagged a few. She seems to think they're Monroes. I've not quite broken it to her that they're not yet. But obviously, I'm going to say this. I really mean it. It's just here by far, because this is a dream come true for me, a dream come true for so many of the people that have come here, and the reason we're willing to work so hard for it is to create an outdoor space that we can use for the rest of our lives. So just walking around here, happy.
It's brilliant. It's making me happy. Genuinely, watching the waves and watching the people enjoy it is making me happy. Well,
thanks very much for the platform on
That's
the podcast.
all right. Well, thank you for letting me come here and have a look round. It's fantastic. This guy's staying up all the way through. If you've enjoyed the Edinburgh Outdoors podcast, please rate us on your podcast app and leave a review. And don't forget to tell your friends and colleagues about it too. If you know of an outdoor space in or around Edinburgh that might like to be featured, you can get in touch by email, Instagram or TikTok.